Volkswagen may be a car company, but to many, a VW is more than just a car. It is a culture, a statement, a lifestyle, an icon. After a literal quarter-century of teasing us, Volkswagen will finally sell you a new electric bus. This is a huge moment, man. Huge. Volkswagen's ascent from car to movement happened not in Germany, but here in America.
I promise to be the man you knew.
It was America that turned the bus and the Beetle into cultural icons. And then we tried to kill the entire company. Twice. And now for the third time in its history, Volkswagen of America is on thin ice. That's because there's one key ingredient without which Volkswagen just can't seem to exist in America. It's a product that connects car with heart. That has been sorely missing.
Yeah.
The ID.Buzz is more than just a German car. It's a bellwether for Volkswagen's continued existence in America. And now, if you'll excuse me, it's time to get high.
Jason, stop it. You can't do that.
I can't. It's legal now.
Oh, man, the times they are a-changing.
You ain't kidding. This episode of Jason Cammisa on the Icons is brought to you by the Hagerty Drivers Club, which includes 24/7 flatbed roadside assistance for all your old broken Volkswagens, a subscription to our award-winning magazine, and far more. Join or get more info at the link below. What's a link? Okay, let's get the traditional automotive review stuff out of the way quickly, shall we? The ID.Buzz is electric, so if you plug it in, charge it fully, it will travel miles on a charge. This one has all-wheel drive, and it seats people. Oh, it has sliding rear doors, so you can think of it as a minivan. In fact, it is quite a bit shorter than traditional minivans and taller. And most importantly, of course, it looks like a bus. Should you require more information, why, I have prepared this handy cheat sheet for you. You can read here, you can pause your computer, or you can just go drive one. I am going to win an award for efficiency in automotive journalism. It took 23 years to get here. Volkswagen started teasing us in 2001 with the microbus concept. And then the Bully concept in 2011. And then the Bud E concept in 2016. And then the ID.Buzz concept a year later. Finally, 5 years after that, the production short wheelbase ID.Buzz went on sale in Europe, teasing us with a long wheelbase version that VW promised would finally come to North America. And now it's actually on sale. If you know anything about the original slow as molasses bus, your first question is, will the new bus keep up with a bicycle? Or maybe time has moved on a bit, will the new bus keep up with some dickhead kid on a scooter? And because this is a scientific experiment, I must point out that when the bus was in its 1960s heyday, the fastest car in the world was the Lamborghini Miura. So my question is, will the new bus keep up with the then fastest car in the world? And this is #journalism, with an emphasis on the hash. You guys think you know what a slow car is, but you have no idea. This is somewhere between slow as a bicycle and terrifying. Oh, look at that! Wait, here's the cone. 50. 15 miles an hour in the quarter mile. I beat a bicyclist and lost to a scooter. VW's throwback-looking minivan was so much quicker than everything else that it wasn't really much of a race. It hit 60 miles an hour in 5.4 seconds on its way to a 14.2-second quarter mile, traveling at 96 miles an hour, with the other cars barely still in the same county. And there you have it. #science indeed. The ID.Buzz's styling might be a throwback to the original bus, but clearly it's modern car quick. Though it's modern EV quick, which means it'll get up to that speed very quickly and then not travel all that far before you need to stop and charge it again. The EPA says this one will do 231 miles at a time, which I guess means no 6-month-long cross-continent drug-hazed road trips without having to stop and charge every couple hours.
Hey man, relax. It's a rush, take your time.
Okay, remember also that this isn't just EV fast. This is a modern car underneath. It is a ground-up, clean sheet, new vehicle. Dude. And that's really important because this is the third time in history that Volkswagen has taken the essence of what its cars are, opened a trash bin, and thrown it all completely out. The company has flirted with bankruptcy each time, but it's created 3 very distinct chapters in the history of VW. The chapters were each defined by one vehicle, and more specifically, that vehicle's powertrain layout. And of course, Volkswagen's first chapter was the Volkswagen. That beautiful industrial work of art called the Beetle. Well, actually, it was never officially called the Beetle. We all called it the Beetle, but officially this was just the Volkswagen, or the Volkswagen, the people's car. And its job was to mobilize Europe. Conceived by Ferdinand Porsche some 90 years ago in the 1930s, the Volkswagen did nothing conventionally. It had a flat 4 in the back that was air-cooled, and for aerodynamics and interior space, it was shaped like, well, a Beetle. That's because it needed to be able to cruise at 60 miles an hour with 2 adults and 3 children on board and get almost 35 miles per gallon. And it almost didn't happen. And that's because the individual who commissioned the whole project was named Adolf Hitler. And those requirements were basically unachievable, insane. And yet somehow Dr. Porsche delivered on all of it. But the factory was partially destroyed in the war, and Germany as a whole fared not much better. Ford, the company that had put America on the move, was offered all of Volkswagen, factory included, for free after the war, and Ford turned it down, its chairman famously declaring that it all, quote, wasn't worth a damn. Oh, I think you got that one a little wrong, huh? Anyway, with nothing else to do, Volkswagen's employees started doing what Germans do best: cleaning and organizing and building cars. They didn't have any money for raw parts, so they just bartered, exchanging completed cars for parts to make even more cars. And make cars they did. 21.5 million Beetles over 65 years, making it the best-selling model of all time. But that's literally only part of the story, because the Beetle came in many forms. Call it platform engineering or just simple Porsche genius, but the Beetle's skateboard platform was designed to be expanded or to accept completely different bodies. And so you could have your Beetle in so many other shapes other than just coupe or convertible.
Yeah, man, you could have it as a squareback.
Ta-da!
It comes also as a notchback.
Yes.
Or even a sporty fastback.
Lest we forget the ever-elusive baby got back.
That's a much later model.
True.
But speaking of later models, you could even get the Beetle chassis as a kind of SUV.
Yes, the Kubelwagen, which proved itself nearly indestructible in combat in World War II.
Kubel what? I don't know, but this is the thing.
This thing is a Kubelwagen.
No, this thing is the thing.
This is a thing, this is the thing, or this is that thing, because this is a Kubelwagen.
This is a thing, Jason.
Wow. Let's walk over to the sports car based on the Beetle, and that is a Carmen Ghia available also as a coupe or convertible.
While it's attractive, the Carmen Ghia was no sports car. It was really just a Beetle and drag. Now, if you wanted a sports car, guess what? Get a Porsche 356.
Shh. Don't let the Porsche people find out. Do you know how pissed they're gonna be when they realize their 356 is just a Beetle and drag? Let's just distract them with a bus. Look over there, a bus.
Look at the
Beetle.
size of this thing.
Yeah.
It's on a Beetle chassis.
Yep.
Big enough for hoarders and hippies. A lot like you and me, Jason.
Who are you calling a hoarder and a hippie? Wait, you're a vegetarian. This is for you. All of the air-cooled cars share their basic design and a lot of components. But if the Beetle somehow outgrew its mission to become some sort of anti-establishment counterculture movement, well, then it was the bus that cemented that, especially here in America. To buy a bus meant you valued style more than speed. It meant you weren't going to buy one of those big, wasteful American station wagons to put your secondhand smoke-poisoned children in the back of. No. You were different. You were cool. You were hype. Stoned as fuck. Volkswagen's family of cars worked for quite some time. But by the mid-1970s, the Beetle was 40 years old. Sales were down by more than 90%, and VW had to move on or it would go completely out of business. And so VW did the unthinkable. Volkswagen threw out everything that made a Volkswagen a Volkswagen. Air-cooled went water-cooled. Rear engine became front engine. Flat 4 became inline 4. Rear-wheel drive went front-wheel drive. slow as snot became fast as... Once again, the fundamental engineering of the A1 platform wasn't just one car. It was an entire family of cars based on the same powertrain and suspension layout. The Golf, called Rabbit in America, was available like the Beetle in closed or open form. And the A1 platform also underpinned a low-slung sports car. Carmen Ghia became Scirocco. A sedan, the Squareback became the Jetta. The Thing was no more, but if you wanted utility, you could have a Caddy, which was a Rabbit pickup truck. And there was, of course, a front-engine bus, which came later. The only real performance version of the air-cooled cars was a Porsche, but this time Volkswagen got its own. The GTI was little more than a Golf with extra horsepower and stiffer suspension, but it was uncatchable on a back road. Besides, it rounded out the offering. Once again, if you were cool and you were different, you bought a Volkswagen. So this time, you didn't need to be high, you were in a hurry. Cocaine had replaced weed. After all, this was the 1980s. But let's sober up for a second and face reality. As enthusiasts, we hear the letters GTI and we get all giddy and excited. And indeed, Volkswagen had a hit. The rest of the world loved the Golf. But the water-cooled cars just didn't work in America.
Bullshit, the GTI didn't work in America.
But I was talking about the Rabbit, not the GTI.
So what's wrong with the Rabbit?
Everything! That car was offensive on so many levels. The first thing they did was install a bunch of Detroit fat cats to run that plant in Pennsylvania where they were putting it together. And they slathered the interior with a bunch of wood grain stickers, and they put squishy seats and soft suspension on it, and they ruined the car. Oh, don't forget about those horrible square headlights that made it look like a Dodge Omni.
Yeah, the Westmoreland Rabbits were junk. It was like a bad baby Buick.
Right. And they were supposed to be everywhere. Like, think, Rabbit. They were going to be everywhere. They were going to be all over the place, and it didn't happen.
The next people's car, right? But it didn't have the quality and the reliability of that early Beetle. In fact, far worse, they had none of that lovable love bug personality.
Unless it said GTI on the back.
Jason, you're a disaster.
Yep. But so is Volkswagen of America. Disaster is an understatement. VW's market share here dropped by half. In 1980, Volkswagen of America lost $40 million. 2 years later, it lost another $140 million. It shuttered its Westmoreland, Pennsylvania plant, and it stayed bad for years and years and years. In 1993, Volkswagen sold fewer total cars in America than Kia sold Seltoses here last year.
What's a Seltos?
I have no idea. But things got so bad that VW had to pay off dealerships just to keep their lights on. A lot of them didn't make it. They went under, man.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, in 93, VW commissioned a study to see if it was even possible to save Volkswagen in America. A lot of the analysts thought, no.
Effing suits, man.
But most analysts could have never predicted what happened just a few months later at the 1994 Detroit Auto Show. This happened. To such an incredible, emotional public outburst that VW allowed people to autograph the new Beetle when it made its production car debut a few years later. It it required the blessing from Germany, but the new Beetle was designed right here in California by a bunch of Americans who understood that for Volkswagen to be successful in the United States, its cars needed to be an emotional play, not a rational one, because rational Americans buy Japanese cars. The genius of the new Beetle was that underneath, this is just a Golf. It's literally nothing more than a Golf with Beetle-shaped curves and a cute little flower vase right on the dashboard. But it was the missing ingredient. It was that car that spoke directly to people's hearts and dragged them into the dealership by the busload so they would buy one, or a Golf, or a Jetta, or a Passat, all of which were at the top of their respective games at the time. Nailed it. And so VW began to once again thrive in America, with sales multiplying by 7 times in just as many years. For a while there, it worked.
VW in the house, Jason.
For a quarter century, VW hopped from success to success to success. Then Dieselgate happened, and then it got even worse. First air-cooled, then water-cooled, and now Volkswagen's third chapter is electric. Once again, VW has created a new platform to underpin an entire family of cars. The first ground-up EV from VW was the ID.3, and today it's joined by the ID.4, the ID.5, the ID.6, the ID.7, the ID.7 Tourer, and of course, the ID.Buzz. So far, the only ID car to get here has been the ID.4, the SUV version. And here it is. It's been on sale for 4 years already. Did you know that? Do you lust after an ID.4? Could you sketch one? It has no identity, but that's the least of the ID.4's problems, and it's been a complete bloodbath just to get here. VW founded an entire subsidiary to design the software and electrical architecture for its future cars, and it's gone so badly that countless managers have been fired over it, including Volkswagen's CEO. Cariad has cost Volkswagen more than $13 billion so far, and that's not counting the billions VW has lost from production delays because of it. The solution? Spending another $5 billion to steal Rivian's homework so the Volkswagen of the future can exist in the future. Right now, the company says it has maybe a year or two to turn things around before it's bankrupt again. After years of updates, the ID.4 is still flawed. It's fine as a car until you try to open a window or do anything on the touchscreen. But it has no charm, it has no identity, it has no GTI spunk. And worse, it has absolutely none of the form follows function simplicity of design and user interface that have come to define Volkswagen and its enormous successes over the past 20 years. But worst of all, it's just an innocuous blob. The Buzz, on the other hand, is style first. It's charming, it's different, it has an identity. And because of that, it will be judged entirely differently than the ID.4, in exactly the same way that everyone judged the new Beetle differently than the Golf it was based on. Many of the things we've complained about with the ID.4 carry over. Things like not having a frunk and having a genuinely terrible UX. But those are far less important here, because the ID.Buzz has not stepped into the role of the perfectly functional, supremely space-efficient mass transportation people's car. Hate to say it, but rational criticisms hardly apply when you look like that. Obviously, the Buzz is a transportation device, so it does have to function as such. Irritating UX aside, it is genuinely great. The cabin is well thought out, with premium feeling materials and thoughtful storage. Power sliding doors are unbeatable for usability, but the seats don't disappear into the floor, so cargo capacity isn't as big as traditional minivans. Nor is its taut ride as plush as theirs, but it's never harsh, and the Buzz's handling benefits tremendously from that stiffness. The big ding from a daily driver perspective is that side visibility is seriously compromised. Of course there are compromises based on how this thing looks. It's huge, and it weighs 6,200 pounds. $1,300 more than that ID.4. But hey, how else are you gonna have modern crash safety in something designed in the 1950s with no crush space? Well, you just make it bigger until there is enough crash space. And if you want something shaped like a blob, you can buy one of those at your Volkswagen dealership or at any other dealer across America. But Volkswagen, once again, has a fundamentally good car that appeals to our emotions. That has proven time and time again to be the winning recipe for Volkswagen to succeed in America. This third chapter started out with an ID disaster. But if history is any indication, the buzz just put us all on notice that Volkswagen is going to pull through again. Look at those icons. VW in the house.